everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hate Read. I'm Anna.
And I'm Em. Every fortnight here on Hate Read, one of us challenges the other to read a book that we think they'll hate. This fortnight, I challenged Anna to read Handbook for Mortals by Lani Sarem.
It's like Annie with an L.
Yes. Usually, what we do
Which
first...
She says in the foreword, sorry.
Well, the other author who writes the foreword for this first edition of a book that people definitely didn't need a foreword
novel.
for. Okay. We're going to get into
We're
that.
getting ahead of ourselves. Okay.
Usually the first thing that we do on this podcast is we ask if the other person finished the book, but we wanted this episode to talk a little bit about why we selected this book and kind of what the story is behind this book, because it is a wild ride.
To say the least.
So I'm gonna try to tell you guys what the deal was with this book as non-judgmentally as I possibly can. So, the date.
Good luck.
August 24th, 2017. An unknown book by a debut author from a first-time publisher unseats The Hate You Give, the critically acclaimed novel by Angie Thomas, which has been topping the New York Times YA bestseller list for the last 25 weeks, and the internet loses its collective shit. The publisher is Geek Nation, a mid-tier fan site started by Claire Kramer, an actress best known for playing Glory on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and her producer husband. Yeah.
I did not know that.
We're bringing Buffy into this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't even look into Geek Nation at all.
The book is Handbook for Mortals, and it is apparently, at the time of publication, already in talks to be made into a movie, with actor Thomas Ian Nicholas attached as a supporting actor and producer. The author is Lani Sarem, a former music manager and occasional actress whose cousin happens to be JC Chazez of NSYNC fame.
Shut up!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't catch that in the acknowledgments, the 800 acknowledgments?
I did not read the acknowledgments. Yeah. I was so happy to be done with the book. I was like, bye. Oh my gosh.
So to be fair to this book, there were a lot of industry types involved. It could make sense that this book came out of nowhere and rocketed to success due to smart marketing, using her connections to the music industry and Hollywood to push up hype on social media. However, that's not what happened. Nobody had heard of this book. Nobody in the YA world, I should say, had heard of this book before it was published. Nobody received ARCs. There were no book bloggers who covered it. And even the actual marketing of the book on its own website and on Twitter are weirdly sparse. So people get confused. YA Twitter starts digging into it. People claiming to be employed at various bookstores come forward saying they received calls asking for bulk orders of the book, often with the caller asking specifically if the store reports their sales to the New York Times.
Shadesville.
Yeah. So a lot of these bulk orders are exactly one. So I guess the New York Times, the way they do they compile their bestseller list is they have a bunch of stores that they get reports from. And generally they have a line of where they cut off orders for it to, like, so if it's over a certain number, it's considered a bulk order and it doesn't count towards the list. So a lot of times, according to the people who were kind of coming forward, the caller specifically ordered like one under whatever the cutoff number was. So like for Barnes & Noble, The cutoff number is 30, so they ordered 29 books from Barnes & Noble, so it was still counted as not a bulk order. So all this comes to light on Twitter. The New York Times starts their own investigation, and they eventually send out a retraction removing the book from the bestseller list after having spent only 23 hours at number 1.
Dang. That mystery was solved quickly.
So, since her removal, she has claimed, Lani Sarem. Lani. God damn it, I'm never going to get it right.
With an out.
She has claimed that she was unfairly targeted because she is a newcomer and because she didn't like properly court the YA community, essentially. She claims that she had never intended the book to be YA, which doesn't really make sense that she didn't know it was going to be YA until the New York Times put it on the YA bestseller list, because like there are multiple points before that where it has to be like kind of categorized. So even if she didn't intend for it to be YA, someone in the publishing side of things had to have intended that, you know?
Right.
So it shouldn't have been that big of a surprise to her, but she claims it was. Her explanation is that this book was originally a script for a movie, and the movie came first. So she was planning to make this movie. She got a bunch of encouragement from fellow writers, from this actor who she knew through her music connections, because he also does music stuff. And they, you know, said, oh, maybe you should do this as like a book movie franchise. So she rewrote it as a book. So she says that she and Thomas Ian Nicholas, the actor who's also like involved in the production, did buy the book from stores in order to sell the books at conventions, because they wanted to make sure the sales counted towards the bestsellers list, and the only way to do that was to buy them through the bookstores first. When people point out that heavy hitter authors like George R.R. Martin and Neil Gaiman don't make the type of sales she's claiming to make at conventions, her explanation is that A, people coming to conventions already own those books, so they wouldn't want to buy a signed copy, which, sure. And B, the appeal of Thomas Ian Nicholas, star of American Pie and Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, is so great that it led to these massive sales.
Oh my God. No. I had completely forgotten he existed until I had read in the article of American Pie fan. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Yes.
But, and also, I guess to be clear, like, the number of sales we're talking is like 18,000 books in the first week, which from the article I read said that a normal release, like for a podcast favorite James Patterson novel, for his first week of sales would be around 5,000.
Yeah, so it's an absurd amount of books. And I think the difference between the number of books that it sold during this period and The Hate You Give, which was the book it displaced, was like, again, like 6,000 was the difference between the two. So there's a huge gap between them. It's a crazy number of books. Some convention goers claim that she was actually giving away the books for free at some of these events, but Sarem and Nicholas insist that every book that they bought through their bulk buying strategy was resold to an actual customer. However, when looking through the book's official Twitter page, while there are plenty of pictures of people attending events and holding copies of the book, of the 500-some tweets, there are a grand total of 4 retweeted tweets in which a person who is not Sarem or one of the actors involved in the project encourages someone to buy the book, and of those, only 2 claim to have read and enjoyed the book. So if you go through any authors or book like Twitter, they're retweeting people. That's like a big part of, you know, modern book marketing, is like word of mouth and like that sort of thing. And that, like, there are a lot of reviews online for this book that seem very positive, and a lot of them seem very not real. So to me, not trying to get judgy, but to me, I question whether there is anyone on the planet who has read this book and actually enjoyed it, because I have yet to see proof that has happened.
It was rough.
So in addition to all of this, after this went down, it was noted that in her acknowledgement section, Sarem thanked several employees of Results Source, a company who has a long history of running bulk buy campaigns. It was confirmed by several sources that Results Source did place orders for the book, and when Sarem was confronted with this, she admitted that she did have outside help bulk buying the books, but she cannot give any more details as she signed an NDA. And she still insists that all of the books purchased through the bulk buy campaign were eventually bought by real readers at real Comic-Cons.
So 18,000.
18,000 books in the first week. Well, to be fair, they had a lot of pre-orders, she says. There were pre-orders at these Comic-Cons that she had been going to for a year before this book came out. But nobody bothered to contact any reviewers, send out any arcs. Like, if you are at all familiar with kind of the publishing industry, it's a very weird strategy to only sell at Comic-Cons and not try any other form of marketing. Like, even if you're doing well at the Comic-Cons, it's weird that they didn't try any other type of marketing.
And I'm looking at like the Goodreads page right now too for this book, and of the 18,000 books that may or may not have been bought by actual readers, there's only 561 ratings of the book at all on Goodreads, which means people have actually taken the time to go on the website and log that they read it and gave it a star rating, and only 279 reviews that were written about the book. And the current average rating is 1.29 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This book, after all of this went down, it got a lot of hate online because people were kind of justifiably pissed off that someone had bought their way onto the New York Times and had just placed this other book that was, you know, like really critically acclaimed. So starting this book, I wanted to approach it with an open mind and see if, you know, if the book was actually like as bad as people said, or if it was, you know, just kind of a mediocre book that people were annoyed that it got more attention than it deserved.
Yeah, because there are sometimes like these brigades that happen on Goodreads where people will go and just like rate an author, all of their books terribly because the author said something or acted out towards reviewers in some way. Like there's a lot of drama on Goodreads about this stuff. So
like I definitely was trying to keep an open mind going into it. I know you were too. That being said, we get to our primary question of the episode. Did you finish the book?
I did. I didn't think I would. There were several moments where I set it down and I was like, I'm not going to pick it up. I'm not going to finish it.
I had quite a few of those too. I literally at one point started laughing and crying and couldn't, like at the same time, and could not physically continue the book.
Oh my gosh, please tell me when we get to
I'll tell you when we get to it.
The point.
Yes.
Because I also laughed aloud at several points.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. And I think the best was the last sentence of the book, which...
yeah. That was a mess.
Was it, because I texted, and I was like, basically my text was, LOL. The last sentence of the book is hilarious. Which... We'll get there when we get there, but it was almost worth reading the whole book.
That's the thing. As much as I truly hated this book from the depth of my soul, and I think I don't want to get too into personal opinions on Lani Sarem. Annie,
what the hell?
I don't admire her. We'll say that. So I am kind of resentful that I gave her money by purchasing this book because we did both buy the book on Kindle. So, you know, like we didn't get it for free off the internet or anything. We paid for it. But there were a few, it's one of those things where I'm happy to have read it because now I have like the context. Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a special club now, kind of like with Antigua. Like,
yes.
I feel like I was in a special club of people who had read this book now and suffered.
So with that kind of really promising premise here, let's get into what actually happens in this book.
Okay, so
if anything.
So this summary is kind of split into two halves because the book itself is split into two different, it's like two different types of book to me. The two different halves. So the book's main character, Zaid, which is short for, and okay, so her name is Zaid. Isn't it pronounced Scheherazade?
Yes.
Okay, so her name is Zaid.
This would not have annoyed me as much as it did, because that was one of the points where I texted you and I was like, I am livid. Because there's
Scheherazade.
They over-explain everything in this book, and one of the things that they over-explain is names. They tell you pronunciations, and they tell you, oh, I have this nickname because the people on the crew call me this, and da-da-da. It's terrible. But she specifically says when she introduces herself that it is Zaid, which rhymes with aid.
Yes, aid with a Z.
But she uses aid, the aid that she uses to say it rhymes with is AIDE, which was weird to me. Like, why wouldn't you just say AID? Like, they sound the same. So that was already weird. But then later, much later in the book, it's revealed that her full name is Scheherazade Esther, which is a stupid fucking name. But also, if you're gonna be like, my name is pronounced Zaid, like, why would her... It should. Does she think that Scheherazade is pronounced Scheherazade? Because that is
that's a good question.
Despicable.
Yes. Well, and also the fact that she's like named after these two queens, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so she's discussing her name at great length with one of the main male love interests. Mac. No, excuse me. Clark Kent is his real name.
Oh my god.
Clark Mac Kent.
Clark Kent, who goes by Mac because
MacGyver.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I guess he can like fix anything. So they start calling him MacGyver, which was shortened to Mac, and that's just how he introduces himself now.
He's Mac.
So
not to be confused with any of the other 3-letter men in this book, such as Tad or Zeb.
Tim,
Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
though to be fair, those are members of the band, which
we'll get to that.
Thing we have to talk about.
Jesus Christ.
She's like describing her name to him, and she's like, I always thought that it was a romantic story, like Scheherazade and I'm totally blanking, the
1001 Nights.
Yeah. Yes.
Arabian Nights or
Yeah. Which, if you don't know, is a story about a king who marries a bride and then kills her the night after so that he can marry a new bride the next day. But this woman, Scheherazade, stays alive because she tells him a story and leaves it on a cliffhanger every night and lasts for 1001 nights.
And then at the end he's like, oh, I love you now.
Yeah, and she was like, I always thought that was such a romantic and sweet story. And I'm just like,
Honestly, though, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. So the story, the like reason the king is killing all of these women is because his first wife cheated on him. So I am not surprised that she thinks that a story about a man who was done wrong by a woman and now all these other bitches are so mean, but there's one special girl who, saves him from this terrible outlook. Like, I'm like, yeah, that tracks with this character.
I understand now.
And I mean, the other woman that she's named after, Esther, is the same sort of story where it's a woman who marries a man and ends up kind of being under threat of death from him, but their love saves her. Like, because, it's the biblical story of Esther where she's Jewish, but that's like, he is told by his advisor to, like, persecute the Jews, essentially, and then she eventually reveals that she's Jewish, and he's like, oh, guess I like Jewish people. So, like, again, that same sort of idea of, like, woman who puts herself in harm's way and ends up married to a guy who kind of might have been going to kill her shortly before.
It's super cool, guys. So yeah, those are her two namesakes, and she's very proud of it. And also she is a witch who can do magic and read tarot cards, which we don't really see her do a lot of magic. We just hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, well, and she's apparently so powerful that all men love her and all women hate her.
I think
this is in the book. This is canon. Her magic causes men to love her and women to hate her.
This to me was very, like, anytime this sort of trope, because this isn't the only, book or thing that does that, where it's like, oh, all men love her and all women hate her because of XY thing. Like, as a bisexual person, I'm like, so are the few women that don't instantly hate her, are we just supposed to read them as gay, or like, what's going on? Like,
oh, that's a good question. Because she does have female friends.
I mean, she doesn't, but she does have females who don't instantly hate her.
Females that don't actively hate her. Yeah.
So I was just like, what about gay men? Like, where do they fall in the spectrum?
Where do they fall? No, there's only two choices. You're either a man and love her, or you're a woman and hate her.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, well, cool.
That's how magic works, Em.
That's how magic works.
So, Scheherazade is from a small town in Tennessee.
I hate it.
She's from a small town in Tennessee where she lives with her mom, and she grew up there, and they're kind of outcasts because it's the South, and
they're
I guess
tarot
they
readers.
don't tell everyone they're witches.
But they do tell everyone they're tarot readers.
Yeah, they do tell everyone they're tarot readers, and they're not to be trusted in Centerville, Tennessee. So Scheherazade gets sick of it, and she moves to Las Vegas. I can laugh every time I say that. She gets tired of the small town life and moves to Las Vegas to take part in a magic show run by Charles Spellman.
What the fuck was the show? What was the show?
It was one act. It was one illusion.
No,
apparently.
No, it was like, here's the thing, because they introduce it and they're like, oh, there were 200 crew members and tons of performers. Yeah. I'm like, what magic show do you go to that there's like a rotating, like, I didn't understand the setup for it.
Yeah, I think it was like a variety show,
but with
like
magic?
kind of like a circus, circus would be, but only with performers. Is kind of how I was imagining it. But it was a lot of people involved. Mm-hmm. But then, like, when we actually get a description of the show in the second half of the book, it's like they're like, oh, you're the top of the show, and she does her illusion, and then the show's over.
Do they maybe mean so top of? Because there were a lot of like times when I was like, I just don't think she knows what that word means. Uh-huh. Did they maybe mean like top of the show, like the best
you're
part?
Next. Oh, maybe.
Like, I don't know.
I didn't understand it. Like,
I mean, she works in show business. Like, I don't know. I was very confused.
I was too. It wasn't clear. The nature of the show nor the length of it was made clear at any point. But it is run by Charles Spellman, who was a famous magician along the lines of
Spellman.
Spellman, get it, guys? Wink. Who was kind of like a Penn and Teller sort of guy.
I think he's supposed to be David Copperfield.
Or like a David, yeah.
Yeah, because she references David Copperfield multiple times, and then at the end, in her acknowledgments, which I read all the way through, and there were like 8 pages, she talks about, I think she says like, oh, to the David Copperfield magic show cast and crew, you guys are like a second family to me, which to me made it seem like she used to work there. Yeah. But I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think he's supposed to be David Copperfield.
Okay. Well, I mean, I could see that. I was thinking like a Lance Burton, but that seemed like a very old reference. Yeah. So I went to Las Vegas when I was like, I want to say 7 or 8 with my dad when they were going through their like Las Vegas is family friendly sort of spell. Which didn't last very long, but they tried. And we went to go see Lance Burton perform, and it was pretty cool. But I was also 7, so maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I like magic shows. They're fun.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing magic shows at all.
No. Actually, that's one of my favorite things about this book is I was like, I kind of like the scene. Like,
yeah, like it wasn't
cool really used to its full extent, but
it was just people hooking up and.
Which brings us to the entirety of the first half of the book, which is a love triangle between Scheherazade, Clark Kent, and some guy named Jackson.
Who is... So, okay, a little bit more backstory on Miss Sarem.
Yeah.
That we didn't get to, because it wasn't really relevant to, like, the drama part. The bands that she used to manage included... Blues Traveler, who apparently really disliked her and talked shit about her on Twitter after this book came out. Plain White Tees, who we'll get to. And...
I can't believe... Oh, I didn't realize
Oh, yeah, she managed them too.
Okay.
She managed them too.
Oh, wow.
And at the time that this was being written as a screenplay, 100 Monkeys, which is the band that used to include Jackson Rathbone of Twilight fame, and also Avatar The Last Airbender, the really bad movie. But he's done some other stuff and apparently is fine as an actor. And he also apparently hates her and talked shit about her on Twitter.
Dang.
But also, supposedly, and I haven't been able to find like evidence to really corroborate this, But supposedly sometime during the writing of this, either when it was before it was a script or when she was turning it from script to book, she published this on Wattpad. So it kind of has a fan fiction-y vibe to it. And also originally the house band is 100 Monkeys. It's just, so it was Jackson Rathbone's band. And supposedly, actually, so I read a review from someone who got their hands on the script, and in that, Jackson is not a love interest. He's just kind of like cameo there, but he does talk about how hot he thinks Zayd is multiple times. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I don't think we've mentioned yet that Zayd physically looks exactly like Lani Sarem, like her description.
Yeah.
Or that on IMDb Pro, she was slated to, or she still is listed as playing Zayd.
In the movie, yeah, the movie that we have yet to see.
The movie that,
will come.
You know, we'll see how it goes. It's supposed to start filming this year, supposedly.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
So, two love interests. Mac. He is...
Back on track after that huge aside.
There's just a lot to get to. I want to make sure we get
I know.
Mac is the technical director of the show. Mm-hmm. And he starts off hating her immensely.
Yes.
For
no reason.
A pretty good reason.
No reason.
His job is to make sure he knows the ins and outs of everyone's illusion.
No, but he hates her before that.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's just immediately like, fuck you, tell me about your trick. And she's like, I'm not going to.
Yeah,
and he's
because
like, well,
it's actually magic. Yeah, so they don't get along but this like hatred, this burning passionate hatred only lasts about 10 pages. Mm-hmm. And when he suddenly switches to being in love with her for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and then here's the other thing with this book. We keep getting these like sections that are in other people's perspectives.
Oh my god.
But like sometimes it's in first person for like 2 sentences. Like she'll be like, I noticed that Mac was saying this, and then it'll switch to like Mac's interiority, but it's all in italics.
It's the tenses in this and the point of views change so frequently. It was driving me crazy.
It's insane. But so like
absolutely crazy.
So like he pretty immediately is like, oh, I am secretly attracted to her, but I don't want to admit it because I don't date performers.
Yes, because tragic backstory with a performer cheated on him. Blah.
A woman done did him wrong.
Yeah. And so like in Arabian Nights, he went and killed every woman
metaphorically
he slept with ever after.
Metaphorically. By just turning them down at the bar.
Yes. And then the other point on this triangle is Jackson, who we've mentioned. He's in the house band, which apparently was 100 Monkeys. But also on the side plays in a band called the Plain White Tees.
Which is also the house band. It's the house band is Plain White Tees.
Oh,
she just changed 100 Monkeys to Plain White Tees.
I didn't realize all the people in the Plain White Tees were also in the show.
Yes.
Oh my god. There were so many names thrown around in this book. It was crazy.
So this show that is just this magic show just has the Plain White Tees playing as the house band.
But no one knows who the Plain White Tees are in this universe. And they were an indie band.
This brings me to one of my questions about this book, which is, when does this take place? Because if we accept that these are the Plain White Tees, Hey There Delilah came out in 2007. So like, I mean, they formed before that, but like, you know, big song.
Yeah, that was their big hit.
Everybody knew it. Later in the book, they mention that they're going to be fronting for Imagine Dragons, who did not form until 2008. So, like, we're in this universe in which Imagine Dragons exists and is a big deal-ish. I mean, like,
Plain White Tees does not exist.
But, like, Plain White Tees don't exist.
It's the strange. It just gets even stranger because all of the Plain White Tees band members are in the band in the book and named with their real names, and they play songs that the band really plays.
Plain White Tees songs.
Yes. So what? What is this? it's like the Plain White T's, but then plus Jackson Rathbone is the lead singer.
And like the guitarist and occasionally does drums and piano and everything else.
Which apparently makes him super swoon-worthy.
I know, like, just so hot. Just so, like, he doesn't do anything in this book. I was so confused.
He doesn't.
Like,
he disappears for
like,
the second half of the book.
It's about a love triangle. And I'm like, is it, though? Because he's...
It's not.
Not in it. Like, I was so confused.
She just likes the attention. She's just too selfish to let one of them go, Jackson, to be with Mac. Because it's the first time she's ever had attention from two men at once. She strings them along for months. Which doesn't make any sense
because her magic is supposed to make men fall in love with her all the time. I don't understand.
Exactly.
How have you not figured out how to deal with this?
Maybe there were no men in Centerville, Tennessee, which is why she had to leave to find a mate. I don't know. But she literally, like, she strings them along for months. Like, each chapter...
It's like several weeks later.
Weeks pass.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like 6 months at least that she's dating both of these men, and they're both totally okay with it.
Also, on my point of when the fuck does this take place, at one point when they go to a movie, they go to see a Ryan Reynolds superhero movie, and it was great fun.
Which is Deadpool?
Here's the thing, though. I think it was probably Green Lantern.
No!
Because she was writing this in 2011.
Like, that's not even the good Ryan Reynolds.
I'm pretty sure
movie.
They went to go see Green Lantern on their date.
Oh, that's sad. Poor Zayd having to go on a crummy date with Jackson to go see Green Lantern.
And if it wasn't Green Lantern, it is in my head.
But then he kissed her so hard her knee popped.
Oh, yeah, so. Yeah. Romance movie style, which is exactly what it says in the book.
Yep, yeah. Which, it was cute in Princess Diaries when that was a thing, but isn't that Princess Diaries?
Yes.
Yes, but not for like a mid-20s.
Well, she's 25.
Yeah. Oh, so exactly mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which was also a big point of contention when the whole drama was going on, because people were like, it's not even YA, she's 25.
Yeah. She's an adult. Not even a new adult.
Yeah.
She's just a regular adult at that point.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And it's the first half of this book, they just go on dates. And
go to the bar, and they go out camping, and they go to the bar again, and
they ride the motorcycles,
and they name drop about 800 different references, and then she explains the fucking references into the ground.
Oh my god, it killed me. Oh, and then she ran. She
let me find the one that's like hysterical. It's just like
when she goes to the mall and she runs into Carrot Top and Wayne Newton. That one. And where she, like, hugs them like they're best friends.
Actually, hold on. Can we, I took the liberty of typing that scene out as if it was a script to see how this would play as a movie. So
you were really doing everything you could to not finish this book, weren't you?
Would you like to do a dramatic reading of this?
Yes, of course.
Great.
Can I be Carrot Top?
Yeah, we're gonna need a Carrot Top, a Zayd, a direction, someone reading the directions, and then a Wayne Newton. So which two would you like to be?
I would like to be Carrot Top and Wayne Newton.
Okay, great. I will be Zayd and the person reading the directions. Let me. I sent it to you in our Skype. All right, ready? This is a scene from the upcoming hit movie Handbook for Mortals. Carrot Top and Wayne Newton approach, still chuckling. Hey guys, I have to say, you two are the last people I would think I'd see walking through a mall together.
We had to do a charity event here today.
Shrugs.
I'm shrugging because I was looking. We just finished.
Pointing to himself.
And now this is me as Carrot Top. That was Wayne Newton before. We just had someone come up to Wayne and ask him when he started dating Reba McEntire.
You guys coming to the premiere in a few weeks?
And this is me as Wayne again. Wouldn't miss it. Besides, you know Scott will show up anywhere with a red carpet.
Rolls eyes.
Including the opening of an envelope.
Scott? Wayne gestures with his thumb toward Carrot Top.
and this is me as Carrot Top. My mom didn't name me Carrot Top, you know.
Got it. Scott, real name. Okay, tries not to blush. So Scott, congrats on winning Comedian of the Decade. That's a big deal.
Thanks. Come by the Luxor and see me sometime.
I will. Well, it was great seeing you both. Later, Zaid gives them both a quick hug and walks away. At no point earlier in this novel was it, like, alluded to that she knows Carrot Top and Wayne Newton.
Exactly.
So why is she
acting just
like,
pop up.
Why is she acting like she knows them?
She doesn't even know Carrot Top well enough to know his name is Scott. Like, she's just like, this man, he is Carrot Top. That is his name. And that's how I will.
Like, and she can't figure out from fucking context clues that Scott might be his real name.
Yeah. It's absurd.
What is this? And what is the Comedian of the Decade award? What is that doesn't exist? That's not a real thing. What is she talking about?
And, like, I feel like if Carrot Top were to win that, it wouldn't have been, like, this decade. It would probably have been, like, in the 90s,
when he was popular. Maybe? Like, I mean, he's still doing fine. Like, no shade to Carrot Top. He's doing great.
No, yeah. My dad loves to go see Carrot Top in Las Vegas when they go. He thinks he's hilarious. Like, if you like...
Carrot Top didn't ask to be in this novel.
Yeah.
Actually, according to Lani Sarem, he did. So... Oh. She, like, knows... She claims she knows Carrot Top in real life, and he wants to be in the movie.
Well, cool.
Either way, Carrot Top did no wrong.
Oh, gosh. Bless you, Carrot Top.
I feel like I don't know enough about Carrot Top, like, to be, like, real gung-ho Carrot Top in case, like, he ever said something, like, problematic, but, like... I don't know. I just feel like
I don't know if he did.
He didn't sign up for this. Like,
he's kind of like creepily buff, I think. From what I remember. And he does a lot of like
from all of his
humor.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's really buff from picking up all of his props. Okay, so there's a lot of like, and there's just a lot of those type, like, she references so much stuff. Like, in addition to all the references and stuff, she keeps like, she's so fucking repetitive. Okay, so there's this one quote. He started to think that perhaps he was wrong. She didn't seem to want a favor. She seemed to be hitting on him. And if that were the case, well, he'd rather she had needed a favor. He decided he would still hold out hope that maybe she was trying to butter him up for whatever favor she needed. The other option was that she was hitting on him. And he felt very uneasy about that being a possibility. Either way, he knew he should try hard not to upset her too much. He knew how difficult she could make his life if he was mean to her. He figured he'd let the conversation go just a bit longer and see if she did have some kind of request. Like, literally, my note for that was the poison for Cusco, because you know that scene, Emperor's New Groove, where it's like, yes, Cusco's poison, the poison for Cusco. Like, that's how I felt reading it, except it wasn't done for humor. It was just like because she
was legitimate.
Like, forgot what she had just said 2 seconds ago. I'm like, what is this?
It's like she didn't proofread or go back or anything.
She just kept
like, as things came to her, she
through.
put them down.
She was like,
the paragraphs are so dense too. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot.
Sorry, I just found another quote that's like super repetitive. Like when they're camping. At that exact moment, I wished I had a guy. If I had been dating anyone, then he would have also been sleeping in the tent with me and therefore helping me put it together. Not that I couldn't do it myself, but I like the idea of having someone to do things with. Things like this and other things.
Things like this and other things. What is happening? What is it?
It's a New York Times bestseller. Just don't question it. It's so good.
Things like this and other things.
You know, that just really encompasses everything.
Just,
that
you know,
it's just the things.
There are the things like this, and then there are the things that are not like this, and that's
different.
Basically everything.
And she would love to have a guy there with her during them.
Love it.
Things.
Not that she couldn't do things by herself, but like some things are better when there's a guy to thing with.
Yeah.
I can't.
Thinging. Oh my god.
Oh Jesus. So, my face is so red right now because I'm so hot and uncomfortable with this book.
But it gets even better. Don't worry. Don't worry. Because then we transition into the part of the book where things actually happen.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is literally halfway through the book. Like 52%, I wanted to say. Zaid and Charles, her boss, have been working on an illusion that is top secret and really cool. Like they made the cast members sign NDAs that were working on it so that like word wouldn't get out, because they didn't even want any of the crew to know anything about, like, it was just very ridiculously secretive, because her reasoning was that she didn't want anyone to know about it and to ask questions about it, because then they would notice how impossible it was to do.
Which she says early in the book, like something like, oh gosh, I just now realized how hard it was going to be to keep this magic a secret, which at this point, A, it's not really clear that she has magic, and B, I thought that, like, this magic show was real magic. Like, I thought that was the premise.
I did too.
Was that everybody knew about magic. But then she's like, oh, it's going to be real hard to keep this a secret if I'm openly doing it on a stage in front of people, which, like, duh. It would be like if in Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester kept Bertha in a cage on the front lawn. And it was like, God, I don't know how people found out about my crazy wife. Weird. Yeah. Weird. Like, you keep that shit in the attic, Zaid. You keep it in the attic. You don't do it on stage in front of people, you dummy.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, and, like, no one was ever going to question, like... So her first trick that she auditions with, and the tricks themselves are, like, written in a way that you cannot understand what's actually happening.
It's very confusing.
So I think the first trick involved her diving, like, creating water on the ground and then diving into it and then everything disappearing and her reappearing somewhere else, I think was the first.
And I think fire was involved at some point, but I don't really know and I don't really care.
I don't want to go back to find out.
No.
But
this trick is insane.
This trick is impossible. And did she not think that, like, the crew would be like, hey, we don't have a trap door there that goes to that other location? Like, she's
like, no, it's like, fine. These 200 crew members won't figure. It's fine. They're stupid. They're all so dumb.
Stupid idiots. Yes, real life. None of them should be doing. They're just not, and none of them are functioning adults. So the night they premiered the illusion, Mac is like creeping around near the offices, and he overhears Zaid and Charles say they love each other, and Zaid leans in to give him a kiss.
This was the moment that I laughed and cried and couldn't continue for 5 minutes.
So fucking
physically couldn't continue.
So Mac sees Zaid lean in to give Charles a kiss and then turns around in a fury. Like, he doesn't want to see what happens next. So he doesn't realize that Zaid gives him a kiss, like, gives Charles a kiss on the cheek, as opposed to, like, full-on making out with tongue, which is what Max literally in the text says he thinks happens. He thinks they made out with tongue. As, you know, any late 20s man says in his head.
Nobody talked, because that was... She keeps describing all of the men in this novel as handsome. They're so handsome. And I'm like... What 25-year-old do you know that's going around like, man, all of these men are so handsome.
Lordy,
they're
handsome.
So good looking and handsome. Like, please. Like, no one says that. Like,
no.
What a handsome group. I walked in.
That's like how you refer to a small child.
Yes, I was like, this is how a grandmother refers to their, like, grandson.
Yes, what a handsome man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, why nobody, like, hot, sexy, cute. A snack. Like, what are you doing? I know that wasn't actually, like, really in the...
I know,
but how good would that have been?
How much I would have hated that term if that was how Zaid referred to everybody.
Oh my God, it would be great. I would love it.
So Mac becomes completely enraged and makes a point to, right before the show starts, walk up to Zaid and argue with her about this scene. Accusing her of sleeping her way to the top, refusing to listen to anything she has to say in regards to the situation, and then he leaves the theater to smoke. Zaid does this entire illusion, but feels super ill during it and doesn't know why. It's later revealed that without telling Max, she anchored her magic to him for this trick, and when he left the building, she lost the connection or something, and the magic went haywire and practically almost killed her.
Yes.
She, like, went into a coma and was apparently bleeding from every orifice, and it was very dramatic.
I'm sure it would have been a great scene in the movie. It's going to be great.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be my favorite.
Can we just real quick also just describe, because I'm really looking forward to seeing how they pull off this magic trick in the movie as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. So it's called Creation. And
it's either the first thing in the show and also the only thing in the show, or
and the last
thing in the show.
We don't know.
Because
the show is ambiguously long. From my memory, because I'm not going to go back and look. I don't want to open this book again. From my memory, it starts with Zayd sitting in a pool of water, and a wave, and she's wearing a cloak, and wave overcomes her. She gets
lowered down from the ceiling first.
Oh, right, yes. And it's a heavy velvet cloak, so it doesn't
flutters only a little.
Very much. Yes, which she was very specific in telling us. Only flutters a little. There's the waves in the pool, and one overtakes her, and the only thing left behind is the cloak. She's gone. They don't say where she went. I think it was implied that, like, in my mind, her body just, like, split into a bunch of tiny atoms.
I just thought
she
was invisible.
That could also be. It was never explained.
No one knows.
Zayd didn't bother to tell us what went on with her body other than to say she was gone. So then the waves become a thunderstorm, and then all of a sudden there's, like, sand on the ground, and the lightning strikes the sand and creates a glass statue of her.
Which was Charles. He really wanted that part of the trick. He thought it'd be really cool.
But Zayd thought it would be creepy, but she left it in anyway. And then a tree appears, and a teenaged boy comes out of the tree and chops it down.
Well, and
it's an apple. Also, it's an apple tree. It's
and
an apple
throw
tree.
the apples out into the audience.
They assure them that they're real, and they should eat the apples.
We should also mention that Charles is narrating this whole thing, and her kind of rival, who is Sophia, is dating Charles, but is her age, is singing beautifully while the plain white tees play back up.
It's so much more stupid when you say it's the plain white tees.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. So he throws the apples out into the crowd and then chops down the tree, which turns into a wardrobe a la The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Which I have something to say about her obsession with C.S. Lewis in a minute, but we will get to that in a minute, because...
Oh, did she reference him more than this one time?
It was one of her... Okay, we'll talk about it right now. It was her... she has 4 epigraphs at the beginning of the book, and one of them is quoted C.S. Lewis, except C.S. Lewis never said it. It was the tagline to the movie.
Oh my God.
And then... later, she quotes Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and she includes, like, the block parentheses to have, capital letters and stuff. So she's, like, real particular about the punctuation, but she messes up the order of the words. Because I went back and looked it up, and Voyage of the Dawn Treader and the actual quote's wrong.
Oh my God.
So I don't know what her deal is with C.S. Lewis.
That's hilarious. It's apparently very, like, loose association.
Yeah, she's like, I really like the movies.
Yeah. So this wardrobe appears, and the teenage boy that appeared puts the statue of Zayd inside the wardrobe. And then opens it, and I don't remember what happens over this.
She comes out.
She comes out?
I think.
Okay, and then, she comes out, she pulls an apple out of her pocket.
And eats it.
And then eats it and then disappears again.
Yes. And then it's time for bows. At that point,
she, like, starts bleeding.
Yeah, it's time everywhere. For bows. So Charles comes out and is like, oh, I did so well. Oh, good job, Zayd.
Yeah, he disappeared too. She disappeared too.
So she's supposed to come out at the end, but she doesn't. Instead, she's in the back bleeding.
Yeah, and somehow no one noticed that she wasn't, like... They had 2 spotlights, one for Charles, and then one on just, like, an empty space where Zayd was supposed to be, and no one noticed that she didn't come out. They were like,
Well, to be fair, nobody knew about the trick because she refused to, share it with anyone. So how could they possibly know that spotlight was supposed to be where she was?
That it served a purpose at all. They just like to shine spotlights at doors.
This is a very weird show. They're doing a lot of like avant-garde stuff with their spotlighting.
It's Vegas. Whatever happens.
Vegas, baby.
Right? Yeah. So she goes to the hospital. She's bleeding.
She's like dead, essentially.
Yeah. But like the doctor's like, we don't know what's wrong with her, and we only want to talk to family.
And also, I wish Dr. House was real.
Oh yeah, LOL, guys. And Max like has to explain to Charles because Charles doesn't understand pop culture, which whatever. And Max is like, well, I'm her friend that's a boy, maybe her boyfriend. And Charles is like, it's all right, son, I'm her dad. And Mac like doesn't. He's like, why did you just lie and tell that guy you were her dad so that we could find out what was wrong with her? And he's like, no, I'm really her dad.
Like for real.
And then he realizes he fucked up real big. So since the hospital can't take care of her, and it's obviously some sort of magically induced injury, they have to take Zaid, who is in a very critical condition, onto Charles' private jet to fly to Tennessee so that Zaid's mother can fix her. Her mom's name, I think, is Della.
Yes, because Charles' nickname for her was Deli, and it's funny because it's like deli sandwiches, which they
it makes me think of sandwiches.
They make that joke twice.
Guys, it's real original.
Oh,
and like the twist that Charles was Zaid's dad
was obvious.
Was very obvious because at the beginning of the book, he's like, Zaid won't tell anyone about her illusions except for me.
And it's fine.
And so she tells him, and we're like, well, obviously he knows about magic, so he must be her dad that's missing.
Right.
Like, whatever.
So,
So we all knew this. That's why it was so stupid when Mac didn't realize. Oh, what happens next? Okay. So then they get to the house, and instead of like they just like throw Zaid in the bedroom, and then they go and they spend like 3 hours telling Mac how.
Well, because the spell to fix her has to be done at 3 a.m. So like, I mean, I guess they had time to kill.
Yeah. So Della and Charles waste a shit ton of time telling Mac how they met, and which was that they were in a traveling circus when they were younger, and Della saw Charles's future, which was he slept with his assistant who was in love with him, but he didn't love her. He just thought it was a casual thing. So when he kept sleeping with other women, his assistant went crazy and plotted to murder him by shooting him with real bullets in their trick that normally uses fake bullets.
Yeah.
So that was really important.
I'm glad we had that whole story. Like that was great. Glad we included it.
Like, yeah, like literally it had no purpose because what they were trying to tell Mac was that magic was real.
It's like just do a fucking do a magic.
Yeah,
like,
just show him a magic trick. Yeah.
Why are you telling it? This doesn't prove anything. Like this just proves that he thinks magic is real. That doesn't.
Yeah.
That offers no actual evidence. It's like if I was like, oh hey, did you know that like there's a stegosaurus living at my apartment complex, and you were like, no, I don't think that's true because that doesn't make any like sense in the physical world that I know of. And I was like, well, yeah, but like this one time my landlord told me that that's the reason that there were no trees on the one side because the stegosaurus had trampled them. And like I expected you to believe that now there was a stegosaurus.
Like, oh shit,
yeah. Like, oh yeah, okay. I totally believe it now. Stegosaurus, right? Like totally.
Yeah, instead of just showing me a picture of the stegosaurus.
Right.
So this is really good logic, and they use it to convince Mac he needs to do a magic in order to save Zaid's life. And earlier in the book, it had been shown that Mac was like, I am a logical person, and I hate that people still believe in magic and tarot, and
gross.
I think it's stupid shit, and you should be smarter than that, and Zaid then believe in tarot. And Zaid's like crying, but like you're trying to hide it, and Mac's like, did I offend you? Sorry, let me kiss it away. And then they just like keep going on their date. So Mac's a real good guy. So the magic he needs to do he has to stab her in the heart with a thing that looks like a dagger but isn't. Which, again, is how it's explained in the book.
It's one of those things and other things.
It's like a thing and another thing. It's a thing that looks like a dagger but isn't. And then, And he has to do that at 3 a.m. with the waxing moon shining down on Zaid's body at the altar and chanting some words, which I Google translated them.
Oh, I thought about doing that, but I was almost at the end and I wanted to get through.
I wanted to be done forever. They were Bosnian words from what Google told me. Google Translate.
Huh.
That meant, with this dagger, pervaded by the magic of the old, and my true, let love reversed the curse, I, the ironic spirit soul embody, via Gardich Verdici. I don't know. Clearly I was a little bit lost in translation there. But yeah. I think you get the gist. It's like, with this dagger, because she said it looked like a dagger, but wasn't. But then the ancient chanting was, with this dagger, let me stab. So it works. Zaid wakes up.
Which, it's interesting that it's Bosnian, though, because it gets me to kind of one of the other issues with this book, which is that it not constantly, but a couple times uses a slur to refer to Romani people.
Oh.
Because the word that she uses multiple times is gypsy, which many people have written about, that they don't want people to use that word anymore. And I assumed that she was just saying that, like, oh, her mom traveled around a lot, because she also refers to her dad as that at one point. But I don't know, like, because I know that there are, I think, Roma from, like, that lived in Bosnia, right? Like,
probably, though.
So I guess they are supposed to be actual, like, descendants of Romani. But yeah, so that still, it was like, every time she said that, my note was yikes. Like, because, I don't know, like, maybe look that up. That, like, people don't, I mean, like, I get if it's, like, an honest misunderstanding, but I don't know. It's, like, 2017 when this was published. Like, you have Google, like,
yeah, you can,
I don't know, pay attention. Like,
I just quickly Googled using that word as a slur, and there's a shit ton of articles, so.
Yeah.
Including a Wikipedia article.
And generally it tends to be, like, Romani people are the ones writing the articles being like, hey, don't say that. It has a bad history, and it has been used to persecute us a lot, and, like, we're still getting persecuted a lot, and, like, a lot of us, you know, have died over this type of shit, so, like, maybe stop using that word. And then generally it's, like, non-Romani people who are like, it's fine. It doesn't even, it just means Egyptian, which, like, that in itself is, like, a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, let me just diminutize your ethnicity.
Right, which actually, I mean, like, it's a Native American versus Indian versus, like, using the actual, like, you know, term for whatever nation they belong to, sort of thing, because Romani aren't Egyptian.
Yeah.
People, like, Europeans just thought they were. Because, like, they're fucking stupid. Like, I don't know. Like,
white people strike again.
Right, like, as a white. Fucking stupid, y'all. Disgraceful. Pull it together. Like,
Google sometime.
What are you doing?
So Zaid wakes up. And so she was unconscious for this last third of the book.
Whole thing. Yes.
But it's told in first person because she is able to borrow everyone's memories of the events, which is just, like, such a stupid, cheaty narration.
Yes.
Cheat.
And also wasn't done properly because she says that she borrowed her mom, her dad, and Max. But there's definitely parts of that narration that are from, like, the doctor's perspective and, like, the other crew members and stuff like that. I'm like, bitch, where'd you get their memories?
Yeah.
Where'd you get them?
Yeah.
What are you lying to us? This is bullshit.
And then there was also, like, this creepy aspect of it where she asked to borrow their memories of the event. But then she, like, also went and peeped on other memories of her parents. Like, she didn't take any of Max because he specifically asked her not to, but because her parents didn't specifically ask her to.
The thing is, if she had ignored Max saying that and taken his memories, all of that italicized shit would have made sense. Because it would have just
That's true.
her getting his memories, like, later. And I'd be like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, I'm on board. I'm not on board because this is fucking stupid.
But it
like,
makes a little more sense.
It made more sense. But then she was like, so I respected his wishes and did not get any memories aside from the ones that related to me being passed out. Yeah. I'm like, then what was the rest of this book? What was it?
More cheaty narration.
Bullshit.
And that's it. She, like, makes a point to mention that, like, she borrowed other memories of her parents, but then she never says what they were. She's just like, some question or some answers to questions I'd always had. Like, tell us. Okay, I guess you're going to tell us everything about everything except for the one thing that is kind of mysterious. Whatever. Like, over-explain everything except this one interesting facet.
Right.
That's fine.
That's, setting it up for the sequel.
Oh, I can't wait.
Can't wait.
So, she sifts through the memories. They stay in Tennessee for a month while she recuperates. Like, everyone, Charles and Max stay. They all ignore the fact that they have a show to run, and they all stay in Tennessee to recuperate. And when they go back, the cast and crew throw her a welcome home party, and Zayd still can't commit to Mac, even though he saved her life and stayed with her for a month straight while she was being nursed back to health. And Jackson wasn't mentioned once at all in the entire last third of the book. Mm-hmm. And nope, she still wants to date both of them. That didn't mean anything to her. And then we come to the last sentence of the book. Zayd and Mac are at Mac's place, I think, and they're in bed together, and I think it's implied that they're having sex. And the last line of the book,
that's the most action we've gotten in this book anyway.
Oh my god.
In case you were wondering.
Yeah. It's not sexy.
It is aggressively asexual.
Yes,
like,
extremely. Like, she went out of her way to scrub all.
Which, interestingly, that review I read from the person who read the script, if it is indeed, like, a legit script, which it seems to be, there were, like, full-on sex scenes in that, and she's, like, naked through, like, a big percentage of the movie.
Goodness.
Which is hysterical when you think that, she was the one writing
the one wrote it, envisioned herself in
wanted
that
to
role.
play that character.
With Jackson Rathbone.
Which also kind of gets to the point of, like, yeah, she definitely knew that this was going to be YA, because why else would she change
why
that?
would she scrub that? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I see you, Sarem.
And the book ends with the perfect line. And they lived happily ever after. Ellipses. All capital letters. Or do they?
Oh, that also, I feel we should mention that this is the point where we finally get an explanation for the title.
Oh, yeah, it's at the very, very end of the
Mac
book.
is like, oh, there should be a book. A handbook for mortals, so I can keep up. Wink. And then
LOL.
They lived happily ever after, or do they?
Or do they?
Did you read the teaser for the second book?
No! Oh, God, no,
You should have, because there is...
How did you have the strength for that?
Hold up.
How did you have the strength?
Hold up. Listen, just let me, since you haven't experienced it, you can experience it along with our readers. Okay. You ready for this?
Yes.
So it's right after the wedding.
The wedding of her parents.
This person who is being identified, a handsome older man with beautiful eyes. Suit he wore perfectly tailored. He was a magician if I had ever seen one. Zayd, do you remember your great aunt Aldith? Hello, my dear. It's been quite a long time, Aunt Aldith said, looking me over. My quote-unquote aunt. Yes, now I finally remembered. I had never quite understood why we called him my aunt. I once asked my mom, and she made it clear that he had always been a male. I guess as a child, he wore makeup and female clothing, and so his nickname was a joke that stuck. I had always been deeply fascinated by him. First off, just logistically, that's implying that there was a small child who wore makeup and female clothing, and his family decided that as a joke, they would nickname him Great Aunt. Like, what? Like, they didn't nickname him that. You call him Great Aunt Aldith because he's your mother's relative.
Right.
Like, number one. So even excluding the fact that is hella fucking transphobic. Like, fuck this book, man.
That's
fuck this
so
book.
Uncomfortable. Oh my god.
Fuck this book.
I'm super glad. I'm super glad that I didn't read the preview for the next one. Just based on that, which I can see now is within the fourth paragraph.
Yeah, like first bit. Yeah. So that's this book, guys. Check it out.
It's due out in 2018, which is this year, so she's got like,
it's
5 more months to get it out there. 4 more months.
No. I've been all through that bitch's Twitter. There's no way.
Is she still tweeting?
Yeah. And both her and Thomas Ian Nicholas, the actor who is attached to the project, not to play either of the love interests. And side note, really funny, just so in case anyone is like, you're being really unfair, you clearly only read biased sources. I listened to an hour-long podcast with this woman talking about the whole situation. I have watched interviews with her. Like, I gave her a fair shake to see if she was,
actually being hoodwinked.
I don't admire her. We're going to just leave it at that.
Oh my God.
But she and Thomas Ian Nicholas, the guy who is going to be supposedly playing one of the T's.
Ted,
Tab,
Tad, Tim, Tom.
Anyway, one of the T's, the main one.
Ted. No.
It's not
it's
Ted,
Tad.
though,
I think Tad. T-A-D.
I think Tad. Tad, yes, because one of the guys, let me check. One of the guys in one of the other bands she managed is named Tad.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
girl, there are other male names in the world.
Yeah. The guy from Blues Traveler is named Tad Kinchla. And so this guy is named Tad as well. Not clear if it's based on him or not. But so Thomas Ian Nicholas is supposed to be playing him. And like in this interview, she was like, well, he's not playing one of the love interests. Just like, I immediately thought of him as Tad, and like he's just the type. He's just like, he looks like him, and I'm like, this is kind of shady for this guy who seems to have bankrolled this entire fucking thing. I mean, like, I don't know what to make of his involvement with this. Like, if he's just been like weirdly conned into the situation, or if he's just like, yeah, this is a good way to get a movie that I'm in. I'm like, there
has to be better ways.
Ask someone to make the next Connecticut Yankee movie. I don't know. We didn't even talk about the fact that the cover was stolen also. That it's stolen artwork.
Yes. I was going to mention that, but I didn't know if we wanted to get into that. But I guess there's pretty solid proof that.
I think we can safely say that the cover is based off of another picture.
Yes.
And nobody asked that artist for permission to base this cover off of that picture before doing so.
Yeah, like from what I read, the artist who did the cover of Handbook for Mortals was told to do an homage to
Jill
other artist.
Jill something.
Yes. It was like Jill with a G, I think.
Yeah. Because I would like to give her proper credit since, they certainly didn't. Jill Del Mace.
So Jill Del Mace. Okay.
Is...
Yes. So Jill Del Mace has this art that is basically a girl in the same exact pose, wearing striped stockings, and with, I think she even has like the bullseye and the knives stuck in the bullseye behind her. Yep. Yeah. So it's like basically the same thing.
It's called The Knife Thrower is the title of the
Okay. Yeah. So look that up. That's basically now imagine that picture, but with like someone in like Chuck Taylor's Converse.
Like the original's kind of like carnival sort of clothes.
But then put her in modern clothes, and then that's the cover for Handbook for Mortals. And so it wasn't so much an homage as like actually
like
lifting.
A line drawing copy.
Yeah. So I don't know how much that artist was. The artist who did the Handbook for Mortals cover, I don't know how much they were told or how they like I don't know the level of involvement there, if they really truly thought that they were just doing like if what they thought they did was legit, I don't know.
Well, they claimed that they were told that the artist would get credit, like the original artist would get credit, like on the inside panel or whatever of the book, it would be like art by whoever based on blah 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 by whoever, which even still like you should still I don't know like ask the artist. 100%. I don't know, like it's very very sketchy, but her line about the whole thing has been we did nothing legally wrong, which like you can say that about a lot of things.
Yeah,
that doesn't make
it okay.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yep.
That was this book, guys.
That was this book. Let's do our fucking segments real quick. Silver lining.
Silver lining.
It's over.
Yes, it's over. Well, actually, I did have a real silver lining.
I had one too, actually.
I actually really enjoyed, as much as it was misplaced, and
I think we might have the same silver lining.
Yeah, the story, Della and Charles.
Oh, no.
Oh.
That wasn't mine at all.
I really liked Della and Charles' story of how they met, and I thought that would have made a much more interesting story than the one we were presented with.
Yeah, because it had a plot.
Yeah, it had a plot, and it was compelling, and I wanted to see more.
Maybe not a full novel, but like a short story.
Oh, yeah. Maybe an episode of a TV show if she's still into writing screenplays. I don't know.
Yeah, get on that. Do something with your life. No, mine was going to be that as much as it was misplaced and weird, I did enjoy the fact that the Plain White Tees were in this novel because I hadn't really listened to them since high school, and I went back and listened to some of their music while I was reading this, and they do have a few bops. So that was a fun
Did you listen to the two songs that were referenced in the book? Stay and what was the other one? I don't remember, and I really
can't remember.
I don't want to go back in the book. Well, anyway, just listen to all of their discography, and it will be covered. So
you'll get the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. It was a fun excuse to listen to some music I haven't listened to in a while.
Thanks for that, Lani.
How about, did you relate to anyone?
Yes, I did. There is a character in the book who is a younger member of the crew, and his name is Riley, and
oh, Riley.
He just seemed like a sweet little boy, but his main thing was everything is my fault. Why? And that's basically me. It's like, it must be my fault in some way. I didn't try hard enough. Why? Yeah.
And everyone was really mean to him for no reason.
Yeah. I felt bad for Riley. He seemed like a good kid.
Yeah. Poor Riley.
Yeah.
Trying to find mine because it was a one-off character, as they so often are.
Was it the Lemonade Girl?
Close. We haven't really talked about the instances where she works magic.
Because
they're terrible,
and there's so clear. She's
a bad person.
She's no
a
magic
psychopath
system whatsoever. She's just like, it happened. I did it, and it happened. Like,
I did it. It's done.
Yeah.
Everyone is trash except for me. All women are trash and so rude and mean. This is another thing. I know I keep talking about the author. There is no death of the author with this one. She, in a lot of her defenses, she's like, when has there been a female-led project like this? Like, I'm leading this. There might be a female director, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you know what? Actually, let me put a pin in that because it goes into my rather be reading. So come back to that. I still can't find this fucking note. I know I highlighted it. Hold on. Well, essentially there's a character. She goes to the mall. She goes to the mall a lot in this book, guys. And she's like buying new clothes, and this girl comes up to her, and because she's a judgmental bitch who like has something to say about everyone, she's like, she was weirdly chipper and like weirdly cheerful and like really helpful for some reason. And I'm like, it's called working fucking retail, you dumb bitch. Like, leave her alone. She's just doing her job. She's trying to help you. And you still have some shit to say about it. Like, shut the fuck up.
And then she ended up buying the dress the girl recommended anyway, so.
Yeah, she did a good job. She did a good fucking job. She came in, she did her work, she was cheerful because she was trying to do her best to, like, not get fucking fired that day.
Exactly.
Like, and fucking Scheherazade had some shit to say about it.
It's like a beverage. It's like Gatorade, but Scheherazade. Yes. What flavor would that be? Like Despair, salty, bitter tears.
Be like anchovy flavored or something.
Delicious. When life gives you Scheherades, you make Scheherazade.
Scheherazade.
It's a good one.
Okay, so since I kind of started getting into it, my rather be reading for this week. So she has this whole thing about, like, in her defenses that, when has there been a female-led project? Not since, like, the Hunger Games, really. And I'm like, that wasn't that long ago, number one. But also, my rather be reading for this week was the book that she fucking kicked off the #1 spot, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which was a fucking female-led project by a new author who was her debut. So all the shit that Lani Sarem says about, oh, they just hate me because I'm a debut author and blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Bullshit. They hate you because your book sucks. This sucks. You're a bad writer. That's why they hate you. Fuck you. Fuck you, I'm gonna go read Angie Thomas's book.
Oh, I want to read that one too. The fact that we read this before The Hate You Give is kind of sad.
Right, is depressing and makes me question my life choices. So what would you rather be reading?
Did it for the podcast.
Did it for the pod.
I went a little more basic. I would rather be reading, because I read it a long time ago, and I've been wanting to reread it. I picked up a copy at a library book sale. There's actually a really nice copy of it. Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Morgenstern, sorry. I read it when it first came out, but I haven't read it since. So I don't really remember what it's about, except for that it is revolves around a circus, a traveling circus, and there is a competition of some sort between two different people, a man and a woman, who end up falling in love. But I wanted to say magicians, but I don't, like, it's more technical.
It's been a while since I've read it too, but I think
they might be magicians. But, like, I think the way that the magic is in the book is it's more technical, like more, you have to, like, plot it out and build it from the ground up, kind of sort of magic system. But they make, like, these beautiful circus attractions, and they try to outdo the other. And I think it doesn't really, from what I remember, it doesn't really have a lot of emphasis on that part of the plot, but just, like, the whole aspect of it being at a circus and stuff reminded me of this book, or I guess I should say that book reminded me of that. You know what I mean.
Sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Except obviously a lot better done.
Yeah. So that's what I would rather be reading.
Yeah, good one. That's a good
Yay.
All right. So we're done with this fucking book. Would you say this is the worst book we've read for this podcast?
Ugh. See, it's hard to compare this and Antigua because they were bad in such different ways. But I think this
vastly enjoyed Antigua more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this one is better because Antigua was hilariously bad, whereas
But here's
Handbook
the thing. This is better in the sense that I know that this did actually go through some other people who edited it and things like that, so there aren't quite as many, like, just glaring errors. In terms of an actual plot, I think Antigua had a better plot.
That's true. I mean, that is true.
It made no sense, but there was at least, like,
but there were talking
gorillas
that
caused other things,
and orange trees and mermaids, and
it was just more interesting. Like,
you never knew where the book was going to end up next.
Yeah,
you really.
So
didn't.
You know what? That's my other silver lining. This book made me appreciate Antigua.
Hashtag Antigua did nothing wrong. I don't know.
Antigua did no wrong.
Oh my gosh.
So that's it for this fucking book, which means it is your turn to issue a challenge to me, and I dread what may be coming up.
And I wanted to be a little bit nicer in terms of, like, readability, because this was such a slog. I was like, I can't do it. I have a good book that I've got waiting in the rafters, but, like, I didn't want to have to go through two awful shitty books in a row. So this one I'm hoping is, again, one that I will like and one you will hate.
That's always the goal.
Going with the goal, not just one that will both make us miserable. I have chosen The Ruins by Scott B. Smith. It is a horror novel, and it's actually on, like, lists of scariest books ever. So I think it might actually be scary. We'll see. I'll go ahead and read the synopsis, though.
Okay.
Trapped in the Mexican jungle, a group of friends stumble upon a creeping horror unlike anything they could ever imagine. Two young couples are on a lazy Mexican vacation, sun-drenched days, drunken nights, making friends with fellow tourists. When the brother of one of those friends disappears, they decide to venture into the jungle to look for him. What started out as a fun day trip slowly spirals into a nightmare when they find an ancient ruin site and the terrifying presence that lurks there. It's also a movie. I don't know. I accidentally, I think, pick books that have been turned into movies. I don't know.
I mean, it gives us something to compare to.
That's true. Need be. I did see the movie when it first came out. This book was published in 2006, and I think the movie must have come out around, like, 2008, 2007, or, like, around there.
All right. Well, it doesn't sound bad. It just sounds like it might be actually scary, and I'm not a big fan of scary books. So
yes.
That should be interesting, but it will definitely, I can pretty much guarantee it'll be better than this shit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. This guy's written multiple books before. This was not his first.
Come on by in 2 weeks to check that out.
Yes, to see if I've managed to scare M into not finishing a book.
Yeah.
Or if it really is terrible. We'll see.
All right. That pretty much wraps us up for this fortnight. As always, you guys can tweet at us, at HateReadCast on Twitter, or email us, hatereadcast@gmail.com. So, if you've read this book and actually enjoyed it, I would really like to hear from you.
Yeah.
Because, no shade. I really want to know if anyone has read this and legitimately liked it.
Yes,
because
for research.
I just can't, I can't find an example of someone who seems to actually have liked it.
Yeah, so you would like to fill in some of the gaps in the questions about whether or not these books were actually purchased at conventions or not.
Yeah, did you, also if you, got it from a convention, what was the deal?
How much did you pay for it? Was it
how much did you pay for it? Did you pre-order it? Were you just, so into Thomas Ian Nicholas as a kid that, you just had to come meet him because you, as a child, your formative years, you had a crush on the main character from Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court? What was the draw there? Please tell us.
As always, thanks to Ben Cope for the use of our theme song. You can check him out on his YouTube channel, which the link should be provided in our show notes.
And follow us on whatever app you are listening to your podcast on.
Yes.
And if you would be so kind as to rate and review us on iTunes, it would really help us out.
That would be stellar.
It helps us reach other people who might like to become a literary slummer.
Yes.
We don't use that phrase very much on the show itself. We say it a lot on our Twitter.
Yeah, I feel like we need to make it more relevant. We need to brand ourselves here. Take that term back from John Steinbeck. And in the words of Lani Sarem, Zaid, hi, I'm Pete Trigger, but some people call me Trig. I'll answer to Pete or Trig, just not Mr. Trigger, because that's my dad, and it sounds like a dead horse.
Is he the one who also makes the joke about the boy bands?
Maybe.
It's I don't really know. The line to say hello to you after your performance resembled autograph signing by a boy band. I don't really know what the latest one is, but Backstreet, 5 Directions, 1 Second of Winter, 98 Celsius, O City, NSYNC Boys, or Old Kids on a Curve, or something like that. It's that joke wasn't funny, and it also went on way too long.
Yeah, I was like, did Zaid really sit there and did she laugh at each one? Did she have to pretend to laugh harder as it went on?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
5
funny.
Directions.
You're funny.
Old kids on a curve. Yeah, I get it, because it's New Kids on the Block. Yeah. And NSYNC Boys. Yeah, I see what you did, because earlier you just said Backstreet and you left off the boys, and now you put it on NSYNC. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Do you want to fuck me yet?
How long had he been thinking of those that he could just spit them out that quickly too?
It's his go-to joke.
Yeah, he likes puns about boy bands.
He just waits for people to bring up boy bands, and he's like, boy bands, I don't know what the latest one is, but O City, 5 Directions, 1 Second of Winter, any of those boy bands, aren't they funny?
LOL.
Lol.